Shedeur Sanders could become Browns' starter sooner than expected. Report claims Ravens wanted him in the draft, but he turned them down. Former NFL cornerback Aqib Talib has come to the defense of quarterback Shedeur Sanders after a recent ESPN report revealed that the Baltimore Ravens had strong interest in drafting him last spring. According to the report, Baltimore planned to select Sanders with the 5th overall pick, intending to groom him as a backup to superstar quarterback Lamar Jackson. Sanders, however, declined the opportunity. Confident in his abilities and determined to compete for a starting role, he made it clear that he wanted to join a team where he could realistically fight for the top spot on the depth chart rather than spend years on the sideline as Jackson's understudy. Former NFL cornerback Aqib Talib has come to the defense of quarterback Shedeur Sanders after a recent ESPN report revealed that the Baltimore Ravens had strong interest in drafting him last spring. According to the report, Baltimore planned to select Sanders with the 5th overall pick, intending to groom him as a backup to superstar quarterback Lamar Jackson. Sanders, however, declined the opportunity. Confident in his abilities and determined to compete for a starting role, he made it clear that he wanted to join a team where he could realistically fight for the top spot on the depth chart rather than spend years on the sideline as Jackson's understudy. Shedeur Sanders prays for better days as Cleveland loses again. Talib, who played for the Buccaneers, Patriots, Broncos, Rams, and Dolphins during his career and won a Super Bowl, fully supported Sanders' decision. In the latest episode of his podcast, The Arena, Gridiron, Talib praised Sanders' mindset and competitive spirit. Talib is not the only prominent voice backing Sanders. On ESPN's First Take, analyst Stephen A. Smith also weighed in, emphasizing why Baltimore might not have been the best fit for the young quarterback. Lamar Jackson, he's a superstar. When you take a job as a backup QB in Baltimore, you assume you're going to be holding the clipboard, but you're almost never going to play, Smith said. As for Sanders himself, he addressed the matter publicly for the first time following Cleveland's recent loss to, ironically, the Ravens. The rookie kept his comments measured, preferring to focus on his current role with the Browns rather than revisit past decisions. My response is I'm focused on the now. I don't really talk about anything in the past, and whatever happened in the past, it is what it is. I'm more focused on now. I'm more focused on how this game that we just gone and had and figuring out how to move forward from now. Sanders survives final roster cuts. Throughout the offseason, speculation swirled regarding whether Sanders would secure a roster spot with Cleveland. Many questioned if he would be the odd man out, cut before the regular season, or perhaps forced to consider alternatives such as the Canadian Football League. Ultimately, the departure of Kenny Pickett opened the door for Sanders to remain with the Browns. Though currently listed as the team's third-string quarterback, there is a belief that he could gradually climb the depth chart and potentially compete for the starting role. Cleveland, off to a 0-2 start, now faces the Green Bay Packers. A third consecutive loss looms as a real possibility, adding further intrigue to Sanders' journey and the Browns' turbulent season. Cleveland isn't exactly new to quarterback storylines. For decades, the franchise has been defined by the constant shuffle under center, names written on jerseys, crossed out, and replaced like chalk on a sidewalk. Yet, this time, there's a different feeling, a different buzz. It has nothing to do with nostalgia or desperation, it's about possibility. It's about Shedeur Sanders, the rookie who might just accelerate his timeline and become the Browns starter far sooner than anyone in the dog pound dared to imagine. When Sanders walked into Berea this summer, the story wasn't about him. He was supposed to be the understudy, the learner, the quiet freshman in a room with veterans who knew the rhythms of NFL Sundays. The plan was patience, learn behind Joe Flacco, pick up the playbook, adjust to the speed of pro defenses, and bide his time until the Browns felt ready to hand him the keys. But football doesn't always respect plans. Sometimes it breaks them in half. And that's where Shedeur's story takes a turn. The Browns' quarterback landscape. Cleveland opened the season with a familiar sense of fragility. Joe Flacco, the Super Bowl champion turned gray-bearded savior, was brought in to steady the ship. He was competent, respected, even beloved for what he had done in late-season heroics. But competence doesn't last forever in a league built on speed, youth, and the relentless march of fresh talent. Behind him sat Sanders, the son of a Hall of Famer, the kid with swagger, the arm talent, and the composure that felt well beyond his years. The coaches knew what they had, a diamond still being polished. But when Flacco's play showed cracks, and when fans started chanting Shedeur's name in the fourth quarter of a home game, it became impossible to ignore. The Browns' brain trust had envisioned Shedeur holding a clipboard through Thanksgiving. Instead, whispers inside the building suggested he could be suiting up as QB1 before Halloween. The rookie who doesn't flinch. Shedeur Sanders isn't the kind of quarterback who looks like he's carrying the weight of what-ifs. At Colorado, under the glare of his father Deion's spotlight, he handled pressure like it was oxygen. Critics said the Pac-12 defenses weren't enough of a test. Shedeur shrugged and threw for 400 yards against top-ranked opponents. Doubters questioned his decision-making. Then he calmly led game-winning drives as if he'd been in those situations 100 times before. That calmness hasn't vanished in Cleveland. Teammates talk about how he walks into the huddle with the composure of a seasoned pro. Offensive linemen, men who have blocked for Pro Bowl quarterbacks, say they can feel his confidence ripple through the unit. Even the defensive veterans admit, grudgingly, that when Sanders throws against them in practice, they're seeing windows closed a split second too late because of how quick his release really is. The NFL is about intangibles as much as it is about arm strength, and Shedeur's intangibles scream readiness. A franchise in search of spark. The Browns are built to win now. A defense anchored by Myles Garrett, an offensive line that can bully opponents, and skill players hungry for production, all of it cries out for a quarterback who can elevate, not just survive. That's where Sanders shifts the conversation. Flacco can manage. He can protect the football, he can run Stefanski's scheme. But Shedeur can ignite. He can roll out of the pocket, extend plays, and drop deep balls into the waiting hands of Amari Cooper or Elijah Moore. He can make plays that remind fans of why they fell in love with football in the first place. And in a city where hope has often been fleeting, the spark matters almost as much as the scoreboard. The Deion factor. Of course, it's impossible to separate Shedeur from the influence of his father, Deion Sanders. Coach Prime may not wear a Browns cap on the sideline, but his fingerprints are all over Shedeur's poise. Deion taught him more than just footwork and reads. He taught him how to navigate noise. In Cleveland, a city starving for a football messiah, that lesson is gold.